Okay, so this is class 2 of the Buddhist Qigong soiree, I guess, that we're having together, and I'm going to show some techniques and things. And this is class 2, okay, so my expectation and hope is that you would have seen the first class, so I don't have to revisit a lot of that. I'd like to maybe start with just a little bit of a review to kind of get us back over the ground we covered, and then see if there's questions anybody has about that much, and then we'll move further, okay? So let's go ahead and just come to standing. Now, just for my reference, put your hand up if you've seen the last class and you kind of have that reference, and that's most but not all of us. Okay, that's fine. All right, so come to standing, and hopefully this will work out. We're going to do the kind of overview really quickly. Remember, what we're learning here is a standing posture, and we're learning the practice called rooting, okay, to be rooted. In Zazen, we work on being centered, okay, centering, everything coming into the one point. And then this is now a practice called rooting, all right? So it's different. So we're going to have a standing posture, a simple static standing posture. So make sure that your feet are parallel, okay, and so that they're right on the floor. You want your feet exactly parallel, and you want them lined up right underneath your hips. So you've got your hips in line with your knees, in line with your ankles, and both feet are parallel, okay? And you want them to be right underneath your hip joints. So not one leg out to the side, not one foot over to the side, just lined up like so, okay? Now from there, you want to make sure that your foot is opening, okay? You're opening the foot, and you have the sense that in the center of the foot, you're drawing the earth up to meet you, rather than just having your weight land on the earth. So you're put your mind in your foot. You can go ahead and close your eyes while you do this right now. Put your mind in the bottom of your foot, where the skin is touching the floor, and right in the center of the foot, you want to open and let the foot open up so that you have the sense that you're drawing the earth upwards to meet you, and your toes are opening gently. And basically put your mind in your feet, and specifically where you're in contact with the floor. And continue to just feel the invitation to bring the weight of the earth up to meet you. Now bring your mind through the rest of the foot. Continue to open it gently. Remember that you lead with the mind, and then the chi starts to build, and then the body is brought along. So you don't sort of flail your body around. You direct your mind, you let the energy pool there, and then the body is pulled along last, okay? So you're going to open the foot, and then bring your awareness up into the ankle, and just have your attention go to where the ankle bones meet, and bring space into the ankle. So you're going to open up the ankle joints. Now maintain awareness of your contact with the floor, the expansion of the toes in the foot, and then include the ankle joints so that they're opening up. You don't do this with muscle, you don't do this with aggression, you do this with consciousness and attention. Now contacting that, let your awareness move up through your shins, into the knees. You want your knees to be soft, but your knees are directly in a line. If you bend your knees too far forward, they begin to bear weight. You don't want that. If you have your knees locked, your knees are locked. You don't want that. So you want your knees to be just soft. And you want to feel that the weight is going from the knees directly down into the ankles, directly down into the floor. At this point, you can play a little bit with toggling your weight. You can lean slightly forward and slightly back. And notice how your weight goes from the ball of the foot to the heel. And let yourself very gently, like a pendulum, come to rest so that your weight is going right through your knees, into the ankles, to the center of the foot. And that weight is inviting the earth up to meet it. Knees are soft. Okay, now feel your hip bones directly lined up with the knee. And in the same way that the ankle has expansion, the foot has expansion, the ankle has expansion, the space in the knee joint has a gentle expansion in it. Then the same thing with the hip joint, where the femur runs into the pelvis, the hip bones, it expands. Now with the hips, remember, you want to slightly rotate your hip forward. So you're kind of like tucking underneath, your buns tuck underneath just a little bit. And you want to have your tailbone send the weight again right down to the center of the foot. So if you feel into it, you've got two variables you can toggle here. You can lean forward and back, and you want to keep that centered. And then once you're toggled right into the center, you can adjust the tucking of your hip. And you want to adjust both of those things so that the weight is going straight down, transferred through a soft knee, through the ankle, right into the floor. Okay. Now, if I recall correctly, that's as far up the flagpole as we got last time. I think that's right. So I'm going to ask here, does anybody who's worked with this material for the last week have any observations or questions about this before we move further? If you do, you can just put your hand up. And going once, going twice. I don't see any questions. Okay, so we'll assume you're all masters of that. Okay. All right, so then the next thing, all right, so what we've done here so far, we've got the frame, and we've got from the hip bones down. And the main considerations we have is you want to have the gravity be able to go straight through, okay? You want your weight to go right through your structure into the ground. And you want to feel, and you will, that weight, the energy of the earth goes straight up your structure, up to the heavens, okay? And this makes like this. So you've got this kind of complementary antagonism, these mutual forces that complement and antagonize, okay? And actually that's what you want. That makes tension and traction in the body in a healthful way. So the next thing to consider is the torso, okay? So you've got this sort of block. Let's see if I can get this to where you can see me. So consider now, we've got the frame here from the pelvis, okay? There's two main things we have to think about. If you think about the spine and how to wield it well, and then we have to think about the torso itself and how to wield it well, okay? So I'm going to start with the spine, and this should be familiar to those who've done beginning instruction, hopefully. But basically what you want to do with the spine, you'll notice as we tuck the buns under slightly, okay, so that the tailbone is pointing slightly towards the center of the foot and the weight is going straight down, what that does on your back, okay, is that takes your back and it pulls just a little bit down here, and it makes a traction along the spine, okay? Now, to be able to really get the benefit of this, I'd like to try an experiment, Can you guys see me as like the main screen? Is that what's happening? Because when I look at it, I'm seeing Kinko as the main screen, which is lovely, but I'm just wondering if that's true for everybody or not. Can you put your hand up if I'm kind of in the center of what you're seeing? Okay, that's fine. All right, good. That's, I suppose, preferable for the moment. So what you want to do here with the spine, close your eyes and go back to your standing position, okay? And just close your eyes. And I'm going to suggest something that you might find to be impossible, but it's very possible, okay? It's possible for you to sense every vertebrae of your spine, okay? Now, that might sound like a truth claim to you right now, and perhaps it is, but this is a truth claim you can verify for yourself, okay? It is entirely possible for you to sense every vertebrae of your spine, and that's what we want to move towards here. And in the beginning, when you start doing this, that's an unrealistic expectation. And it's better for you to think about feeling clumps of vertebrae or regions of the back. So standing in the way that you know now, okay, just let your attention come to the lower, say, clump of 4 or 5 vertebrae in your back. So where the spine attaches into the pelvic bone down here. Close your eyes. And what I want you to do is to imagine that you're breathing into your spine from behind yourself. So when you inhale, you're drawing air or chi from behind your body, and you're directing it to the lower clump of, say, 4 or 5 vertebrae at the lowest part of your spine. And so when you breathe in, you're drawing chi energy from behind you, the air behind you, into those vertebrae of the spine, and you hold it there, and when you exhale, you return it back from that spot. Okay? So just close your eyes, let your hands just rest to your sides, and listen with your imagination to that lower part of your spine. Inhaling, feel the energy come into the spine, listen to it. All you're trying to do is contact it. You're not trying to manipulate or move it or adjust it or anything. You're just trying to contact the sensation of your own spine. It's been with you everywhere you've gone. You should get to know it. Right? So let yourself feel it. Listen into it. Now, to address a potential stopping block for some people, it doesn't matter in the least what literally is happening, okay? If you take a literal view that chi is literally coming into your spine, I take that view because I know I've been doing this a long time. That's useful. If that doesn't make sense or doesn't seem useful, it's imaginative play. Just play with your imagination and keep listening and noticing with your body. Either way, you'll start to sense something that you won't sense if you don't do this. Now, after you've contacted that a little bit, bring your awareness up to the next clump of spine. So it's just a little bit higher. Still in the low back, but it's like the mid-low back. And just breathe into that part of your spine a little while. And just contact it and just notice it. Feel your weight going down through into the floor, and breathe into the spine from behind you. Now, if while you're doing this, you notice any discomfort, dysfunction, pain, sensitivity, tension, just notice it. Just see it, acknowledge it, let it be, and just continue breathing the energy in and out of the spine from behind your body. And now let your awareness move up another clump of vertebrae, so it's close to the mid-back. Let's put it right in the mid-back, let's say. For many people, it's easier to feel the upper half of the spine, although that's not always the case for everybody. Make sure that you're bringing your mind into and out of that area of the spine with the breath, as you imagine bringing the chi into the back of the spine and out. And let yourself move up to the next chunk of your spine. So it's just a little bit below the shoulder blades. And then let your awareness go up right between the shoulder blades. Again, you're not trying to adjust or fix, you're just trying to sense into and contact. Then move up to the base of the neck, where the neck comes out of the back. And then gently up into the neck. And again, you're trying to contact the individual vertebrae, or most likely the clumps of vertebrae. So you're in the neck. Mid-neck. And the upper neck. Right where the skull rests on the neck, the very top vertebrae of the spine. And you're going to continue up now the back of the skull. Breathe into the back of the skull. Up to the top of the head. And then eyes open. Okay. All right, so I would like some feedback at this point. Now, is this working? Is this too much? Is this too little? Are you able to contact and sense the spine or not? Give me some feedback here. Kaishan, what's going on for you?
Well, more as of a question, with the breathing in through the spine, as we're at any point in the back, should there be like a response in the back as far as like a constriction at all, or do we keep it purely imaginative?
Right now, I just want you to feel into and contact the spine. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get traction between every vertebrae all the way up and down, but right now not. Okay, right now there's no way to move it. If I can't contact it and sense it, I can't adjust it. Okay, so we're going to basically bring traction into the spine. All right, but step one, can I even feel the thing? Okay, that's the first thing. And okay.
Well, one other question with that.
Yeah.
As I was doing it, one of the things in the beginning instruction that's often been emphasized is that elongating of the spine from the back of the neck, almost like that coat
Yep.
hanger.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. That's jumping ahead. That's not wrong, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
Just about this part about feeling the spine. Okay, Jukai, I think I see you've got a raised hand. We've got to unmute Jukai here.
I got it.
Thank
hear
you.
me?
Yes, I can.
So I really did feel the contact with the spine, breathing in and breathing out, pretty much all the way up. Actually, the lower part was a little more powerful for me, but the thing I noticed as I went up the spine is that sorry about our dog, the space between my ankles and my knees felt like it got really tight.
Oh, good. Yeah,
And
okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's good that you're noticing that. So that's excellent. Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, as you let me put this in my own experience. As I've gotten deeper and deeper into this, I realized that the entire body is not a collection of parts that are assembled like a machine. Every part is intimately and directly connected to every other part. Okay, so when I start to bring awareness to my spine and I notice things in there, it affects my ankle. Okay, the two are directly connected. Every every part in your body is directly and intimately connected with every other part. All right. So what we can do with this, and we're going to do this more as we go on, but there's a way to notice discomfort in the spine or anywhere in the body, and you start basically from the floor up, and you bring expansion to all the joints. And as you do, you go back to the stress point in the body and see if it's adjusted it. And my experience shows me that the answer is often yes. I can find that tension in my spine is actually relievable by manipulating my left ankle or my right hip or my knee. And if I bring chi into those areas and open the joints, the pain in my spine is reduced. Okay. So right now we're just trying to contact, and it's very good to realize when you contact your spine, when you put your mind in the spine, let's say, and then you notice other areas crunching up, let your mind go there and gently open them up again, and then come back up to the spine. Okay. The image would be something like a plant that's reaching out to get the sunlight and roots that are reaching down to get the water and the dirt. And the whole thing is gently expanded and open. Okay, and you've got roots and you've got leaves and you're reaching out like this. And if there's a crinkle in the root, then some of the leaves, some of the branches up here go down. You uncrinkle this, these branches open up again, and vice versa. Okay, so I'm going to teach.
Could I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure, that's what we're here for.
So the other thing I noticed, this didn't happen to me during the week, but it happened today.
Yeah.
When your feet are rooted and open and there's that spaciousness, today mine were really off balance. Like my right leg felt really connected to the earth, but my left leg didn't. And is that just keep focusing on the...
No, if your left leg gives you problems, cut it off. No. Sorry, different thing altogether. No, strike that from the record. I didn't say that or mean it. No, what you'll notice is the body is constantly a system at play, right? And so what we're doing is bring your attention to the structure and notice, and then gently bring yourself back to center. Okay, this Neigong, this internal work, is a matter of being able to sense what's going on in the body and make subtle and yet very powerful adjustments to how your energy is flowing and how your stance is lining up. Okay, so what I'll do, if I'm standing, like I may have mentioned before, my right leg tends to like flail to the side a little bit. That's just kind of part of my deal. And I've got a little bit of a curve in my spine, and these things all kind of relate. And so when I notice that sort of right lilt is going on, I notice it, I acknowledge it, and I sort of gently bring it back to correct alignment, okay? And you might not be able to see me physically do this, but the energetic signatures in my body are doing that. And so when I notice I'm not stable, I'm just going to see it, acknowledge it, let it go, and gently put my mind back where I want it to be, okay? And it's no surprise that at different times the body will send off different signals and things. I think it's very much like we think the body is like a skyscraper, and you build it and that's it. But it's not like that. It's like a plant. It's in heavy wind and it's moving, and the earth moves too, and the whole thing's spinning, and you have to constantly be adjusting and correcting for things. And if you can't sense your body, you can't adjust or correct. See, that's the thing. Okay, anybody else? Please, Mark, yeah. Let's unmute you so we can hear you, Mark.
There we go.
Thank you.
I've always had, for many years, I've had lower back and hip problems. general aches and pains.
Yeah.
And just standing in this position is a little noticeable in the hips and lower back.
Mm-hmm.
But when we did the breathing in the lower back, I found that, of course, I was concentrating there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't aware of the other pains. And they really didn't come back until we were way up into the head area.
Yeah.
And it sort of reminds me of breathing into the pain. I wonder if that's sort of what I was doing.
It could be, Mark. There are a number of different phenomena that can happen when we do this practice. One of them is that as you start to bring your mind in a conscious way to different parts of the body, the other parts of the body start to respond. So, for example, everything connects to the spine, okay? If you think about like the pugs out there or our deep ancestors in the distant past on all fours, the spine is there, and all the intestines and organs and the lungs and everything are connected to and hang off that spine, okay? So if you're a cow, everything is hanging off the spine, and it's literally attached to the spine. Does it make sense? So now when we stand up, everything is still attached to the spine, it just flumps forward. All right? So like when we do that, we're standing up, but everything is still literally attached to the spine, to the front of the spine, and comes around. All right? So when I bring awareness into the spine and breathe and put my attention there, I'm actually affecting different organs in the body that are connected to it in that place, right? And it's also true that all this muscular and structural alignment stuff might be out, but we don't feel it because we're like, yeah, I'm fine, it's all good. And then you actually pay attention and it feels like, oh my God, what's going on here? And you open it up just a little bit and it can feel really strange because your body's used to being like this. And you start to open it up and it feels wrong because it's not what you're used to. But if you gently relax into structure and just think about gravity transmitting through your structure, a lot of dysfunction and pain will heal itself. Okay, basically in Chinese medicine, which honestly, when you go to China, like Chinese medicine and Taoism and Buddhism are not separate things. It's all just one big mush of stuff with some Confucian sauce on top, and that's just culture, So when you go there, the first thing about healing is how do you get everything to circulate correctly? All right. So it's a kind of a lot of response to what you said there. But what I would say is make sure that your alignment is right and you want to feel how energy is moving through. And as you put your mind in these different points, you want to gently get the energy to circulate. And that's what we're working towards. Is that helpful at all, Mark, or is that just too random?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Good visualizations.
I'm trying. This is a complicated subject, but it's important. Dr. Hardy, please. We need to unmute Dr. Hardy.
Okay, thank
There
you.
we are.
I was just happy that I could actually do this because if you recall when my husband and I first came to the temple, I had to sit because I was born without a left hip and it was giving me a lot of problems. Well, I had it replaced 2 Februaries ago, so I can actually stand now. I too have a lot of lower back pain, and I've been struggling this last week on tailbone pain.
Yeah.
It's gone now. I can't feel that, but my shoulders and my neck, it like transferred there.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So let me just throw out here right away a quick disqualifier and disclaimer. I'm not a physician or a medical doctor. I'm a Buddhist priest, right?
Yes.
But you know what? There's a lot of wisdom embedded in here that back in time wasn't separate from medical stuff.
Right.
Honestly. It was all just one big thing. So, see your doctor, check it out. But on the other side, okay, when you start to get your alignment correct, it's very common to have areas of discomfort move through the body. And what we're going to learn when we can contact everything, we're going to first we've got to start from the floor up and get our alignment together. Then we're going to scan from the top down, drop dysfunction down. Okay? So it's like you push over here and it pops over there, and then you push over here and it pops over there, and there is a method to this. So be interested and curious about it.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's Okay, Zenzan, one more.
Yeah, real quick. I could sense the lower back vertebrae really well, almost like individually. Then there was like a black hole in the middle,
Awesome. Yeah.
and then starting in my neck up, I could sense them again. But there was just like in the middle of my back, there was like wasn't even really a clump. It was just nothing until I got to a certain point.
Fantastic. That is so helpful. Thank you for sharing that. So that's
Go ahead.
yeah, it's very common. Okay. As I said in the first class, most people have no sense of their internal body at all. They really don't. People's sensitivity is, they don't even feel their skin unless it's particularly pleasurable or painful. Okay. Let alone feel the spine or the front of the spine or the organs or anything like that, or chi circulating. So it's very, very common when people start practicing this. When I started practicing this stuff, I would be able to kind of, okay, I'm feeling something. And then just like you said, a void, a black hole, just no sensation. There's nothing there to contact, and then would come up again, okay? Now, when you have that happen, that's something to notice and honor and pay attention to and know that that's fixable and it matters.
Okay.
Because pain is preceded by dysfunction, and dysfunction is preceded by numbness. So when you can't sense it, it gets more and more dysfunctional, and you don't know because you can't sense it. And then over time, it becomes more and more chronic until suddenly it bursts through and it's acute. Okay? So what we want to do is stop that train before it starts rolling and bring our attention to the blank spots. If you're alive and you've got a functioning nervous system without any nerve damage, you should be able to actually contact every vertebrae of the spine and feel it. When you find a blank spot like that, go to the edge of the crater and sit there and pay attention and just peer over the crater a little bit and just keep your attention there. And if you keep your attention there and breathe into it and out of it, the chi will start to circulate in that space. And when the chi starts to circulate, then the blood will start to flow, and the blood starts to flow, and the synovial fluid will start to move, and the whole structure will start to get there, and suddenly you'll feel 1 iota more. Okay, and you gradually build a bridge between these two places that you can and can't feel, and you can actually connect your awareness all the way through.
Okay, and the other thing, closing my eyes, I struggled a bit with balance.
Yeah, I understand. If you need to have your eyes open, that's okay, but it's preferable right now to have your eyes closed so you can feel. Okay, now that's contrary to Zazen. In Zazen instruction, you keep your damn eyes open and you look a little bit down and you want to be in the room, right? That's fine. When you're doing this stuff, I really recommend close your eyes and sense with your third eye. You're sensing into these areas of the body. If you have your eyes open, it tends to not be helpful to the process. Now, in truth, later on, it doesn't matter. Okay, Aikido demands me to be completely aware of my body if somebody's trying to like hit me, you know. So you can do this while you're functioning, but to train it and to become sensitive to it, I recommend you eliminate the variable. When you notice the imbalance happening, see it, acknowledge it, let it go, and bring your awareness back to the center. Okay. And not the center, but the flow of the energy of the gravity going down into the earth. That's what you want.
Without opening my eyes. Because what I would do is when I got off balance, I would open my eyes to get my equilibrium and then close them.
You know, that's better than falling on your face, you know. But ultimately, you should be able to stand there just fine. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let me move on here because I'm feeling like what we need to do is another way to contact your spine. So I want you to lay down on the ground with your knees up and your feet down. Okay. And I just want to call your attention to the fact that we're not stretching. We're not doing, you know, big Olympian movements or anything like that. I'm thinking you guys can see me. Okay, so I'm just on the floor and I just have my knees up, my feet are down. Okay, and just close your eyes. Okay, just have your palms flat down on the floor. What I want you to do is go back all the way down to the base of the spine. Okay, eyes closed now. Remember, your pelvis is tucked under a little bit, So the tailbone is pointing inwards, tucked in, like your bum is tucked under a little bit, okay? So that brings the low back a little bit more in contact with the floor. Bring your mind exactly to the point of the base of the spine. And what I want you to do is gently push that part of your spine onto the floor so that you can feel it, okay? You just add a little weight to that part of the spine so you can feel that part of the spine with the floor. And now breathe the chi into it and out of it. Now just rotate your weight up a little bit and do it as little as you can get away with. And just sort of tuck yourself around so that the weight of the spine is moved up incrementally. So you're now pushing a little bit higher on the spine and feeling that against the floor, and then breathe into that spot. And what we're doing here is using the contact with the floor to make it more obvious. And just continue this procedure at your own pace. Do not rush. Go very, very slow. Eyes are closed. Let your weight sink from the spine into the floor and use that contact to help you feel it more. And as you do this procedure, you can notice how you can very subtly make the weight shift up just a little bit. If you can't do one vertebrae at a time, do it a clump of 2. If you can't do that, a clump of 3 or 4. But you just feel these different clumps of vertebrae connecting to the floor with your weight, and then breathe into them. And we're breathing into the back of the spine at this time. So this should be relatively easy. You're feeling right the part that's connected to the floor. You continue the procedure all the way up. If you get to a spot where there's clink or clank or clunk or gook or goop or gobs, just stay there and breathe into it and listen with your mind into that part of your spine. As you hold your attention there, the chi begins to move and collect there, and the blood begins to flow. And you bring life to it. So again, you go all the way up to the shoulders, to the neck. And you continue all the way up to the skull, to the point where your skull is in contact with the floor. And then bring it up to the center of the skull. And then eyes open. Okay. Now, as you do this, notice I'm not asking you to make a big stretch, okay? Like Yoshiki just did, it's fine to do that. That's awesome to do. What I'm asking you to do is move your mind in your spine and put your mind there and pay attention to it and draw the chi into that area of your spine. Does that make sense? That's why this is Neigong. This is internal work, okay? Your muscles are actually external. They're very gross, they're very coarse, they're very external actually, compared to the marrow of your bones, all right? So, anyone who hasn't asked a question or contributed yet that has something to offer about their experience with that exercise? Jesse, please.
So, not so much a question, just an observation for me.
Please. Yeah.
I guess it also kind of is a question. So starting at the bottom, I can feel basically all the way up, but starting at the bottom, it feels very dense and black and heavy. And as I work my way up, it begins to almost tingle and feel lighter. And then the crown of my head, by the time I get there, is it sort of tingles like air is touching it.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah. When you bring your a mind into the spine and you're breathing the chi in and out of the back. Okay, this is the spine, and I'm breathing in and out. That tingling sensation is the chi moving into the spine and moving out. Okay, and it starts to make things circulate and expand, and sensation comes. So when I do this, I can feel like a light, almost like, you know, the nostrils, when you inhale, there's a cooling sensation in the nostrils. It feels like that in the spine. I inhale and I can feel a certain vertebrae or clump of vertebrae have a cooling sensation, or like a wet. It's like it becomes wet in a way. Some way to describe this, there's a sensation of increased sensitivity to that area of the spine. And so that's quite normal, and that's quite a good sign, actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Not a problem. It's a good thing.
Nyojo has a question.
Please, Nyojo. Yes. Thank you for being here, brother.
When you get up to the neck, I mean, there's like a curvature there.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, right. So, are we supposed to be trying to press that curvature into the ground when we're on our back, or are we supposed to just kind of let it be? Because that seems like that would be a stretch.
Yeah, you can just very lightly do it. You know, if you like tuck your head in, like Kaishin was pointing to earlier, you can get more of your spine to contact the floor, and that's good. You know what I mean? But you don't want to be like this and then like push down. You want to extend this way.
You want to lift the head. You want to lift the back of the head. And
Yep.
then the other thing is, when you're trying to like contact, if you have curvature in your back, are you supposed to be lifting your hips using your legs at all to press the back into the ground? Or
Yeah, you can. You can. Sure. I mean, right now, yeah, I mean, you can even take your hands. All this exercise on the floor is just to kind of get us in the room, okay? The main core today is, dude, you can feel your spine, okay? And actually you want to be able to, and you can. It's a thing, all right? It's a good thing. And you want to be able to contact that and feel it and breathe into it and get sensation. So the being on the floor thing is a provisional expedient technique to kind of get some sense of the spine.
I just know my tendency is to overstretch when I try to do something like that. So I'm trying to figure out the most gentle way of doing those things, because otherwise I support my body to force the spine into the ground and not be able to.
No. That's great. There's nothing about Qigong that's forced. In fact, any tension that you exert is moving you away from the benefit of the action.
That's what I thought. And as far as the standing thing, are there any tips to, like, I noticed when I was trying to like work with the spine, my knees and my I guess calves and ankles just kind of immediately locked.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Tips to or do you just kind of go back to the bottom and start working up again?
That's close to it. That's right. So this is kind of like a process of gardening, okay? You work on an area, you go over here and you come back and there's weeds, and you kind of keep circulating around like this. So if you start, what I wanted to say first though is that the tension is in your mind, okay? Your mind is laser focused, just like in Zazen, okay? The mind is laser focused. The body is relaxed. The body is yin. The mind is yang, okay? What you don't want to do is make the body yang, and then your mind is just all over the place. Like if you go to the gym and people have the loud music and they're pushing hard and they're, you know, it's just, okay, that's fine, whatever. But that won't do this. What you need to do here is you relax your body, but your mind is very, I don't want to say ferocious, but it's very focused. And it's
So
that,
it's scanning.
yeah, and it's the focus of the mind that brings the energy to that space. And that's what we're trying to get in touch with here, okay?
And as far as the energy transfer, you said from behind us.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm on the floor, I can picture that easily because it's between the ground and the spine,
Yep.
right? I guess I have a harder time picturing that. Is there a problem with just picturing that coming up from the floor, kind of like water or roots from the floor?
Yeah, because that's a different thing. That's like you work on chords when you're doing chords, and you work on scales when you're doing scales, and like, well, the
Right.
scales aren't working. I'll play chords. No, get your
No,
scales.
I guess I just don't know what I'm breathing with when it's just behind me.
Don't make it more complicated than it is. You're just breathing into your back, and you imagine that you're breathing chi into here,
Okay.
and you just feel it come in contact with the spine, and then you breathe it out. And there's no more instruction than that. That is the instruction.
So okay, I got that's an image I can work with.
Yeah. I did want to finish up though. There's when you're rooted, okay, you're standing, and we've talked about the feet, the ankles, the knees, the hips, right? And then now we did the spine scan, okay? So just to say it, when you go through and you have to start on the floor like this. I mean, start with the floor and feel the feet. Don't skip steps in the procedure. You do the procedure exactly correct, okay? So your feet are there, your toes are open, the foot is open, you draw the earth up like a little suction cup kind of thing. Your feet are parallel, your ankles are exactly in line. You open the ankles, your knees are soft, you open the knees, the hips are right there. You toggle back and forth, you make sure your weight's in the center of the foot, and then you angle the tailbone under slightly, and you've got your base set, okay? Then you breathe into the low part of the spine. And then you breathe into all the way up the spine, all the way around to the crown chakra in the head. It's called the Ba Hui point. That's the procedure, okay? Now, as you get to the mid-back and you notice an ache or a problem or something like that, what I'm going to invite you to do is keep your mind in that ache, okay? And then go back to the floor and again, open up the bottoms of your feet. And just breathe into the bottoms of your feet. Get the chi to circulate at exactly where your feet are in contact with the floor. And then go back up and breathe into that point in your spine. And see if there's any difference. All right? And then if it's the ache is still there, you go down to the ankle. Open up the ankles, breathe into the ankles, get the chi to circulate in the ankles, and make sure the gravity is functioning correctly and the weight is going down your structure, and then go back up to your spine and pay attention to that again. Notice what you notice. Same thing with the knees. Same thing with the hips. All the way up the spine up to that point again, see? And what you'll notice if you give this the time and you have the patience for it, you will have an experience where you'll have some lack of sensation in the spine or some overt sensation in the spine or what have you. And you go down and you find, wait a minute, I'm not exactly letting the gravity flow through my structure right. You'll tweak that out and the pain will leave your spine. That's what's going to happen, okay? And you do this all the way up to the crown of the head. And then you start over. Floor up, floor up, floor up. Now let's see what time we got here. We've got a few more minutes. Let me give you the last points that you really need to know. And this should be known to everybody from beginning instruction. The tailbone is tucked under a little bit like this. Okay, so this is, the buns are tucked in a little bit. Okay, and that brings traction to the low part of the spine. You want to feel the chin is tucked in a little bit, and the occiput back here, the lower occipitals are lifting just a little bit, and that makes an equal traction at the top of the spine, okay? So it's like, hey, Dawn. I don't think she's here. But the back of the spine, you pull up, and the bottom of the spine you pull down, and that makes traction along the spine, okay? In my body right now, when I take the tailbone and tuck it under, I can feel it pull the skin all the way up to my skull. And conversely, when I pull my skull up like this, I can feel that pull the tissues all the way down to the base of the spine. It's all connected, like my shirt. If I pull up or down on the shirt, the whole shirt moves, okay? It wasn't like that when I started, believe me, okay? That's a thing I worked on. So I've got the spine has this traction above and below, tailbone tucks under a little bit, and the skull rounds around this way a little bit, okay? Last point is this part of the back. It's called the Ming Men. It's about here. You want to very lightly have the Ming Men move backwards, just a touch, okay? So your spine has got 3 points. It's got the base of the spine with the tailbone tucking under. It's got the neck, which supports the skull, turning up. And it's got this point in the back that's drawing back. 1, 2, 3. And the 3 comes back. All right? And that's your basic hips to feet, or I should say really feet to hips. And then spine up through the skull. That's that much of it. Okay, yeah, there were some other hands raised. Yoshiki, please.
The middle one, it's in the halfway in between, or as we women would say, at the bra strap kind of area, or below the shoulder blades.
No. It's not up by the shoulder blades. It's down here.
Oh, okay.
Basically, you know, you have the 1 point where you sit. Okay, so this is called sun, a measurement. Okay, and the belly button, and then 3 sun lower. That's your 1 point.
Right.
Okay? And it's actually right behind that. Oh. It's back here. So my shoulder, the bra strap would be up here, or the swimsuit or whatever. This is down here.
And that's what was the name of that again?
It's called the Ming Men.
Ming Men.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just slightly back, you said.
Correct. Yeah. It's not a lot, but there is. Again, you know, the upper spine is getting pulled this way. I don't know if you can see it on me. The bottom of the spine is getting pulled that way. And then the spine from this point in the Ming Men is coming back. And those 3 happen simultaneously, okay? It happens at the same time. And what that does is it creates a very powerful complementary antagonism in the structure. And just think about this for a second, okay? When you have your spine bowed like that, you have the weight of your skull goes right down your neck, goes right down the spine, right? You know where this is going, right? And goes down the hips, down the femurs, down the knees, down the ankles, down to the earth. Boom. And that is what you got to get in touch with. You got to get gravity working for you as opposed to having some clink, and the gravity hits your structure and pools there and things get stagnant, okay? I see you sitting zazen all the time and it's like crunched. You're not going to attain yourself sitting there like that. You're just not. You've got to get yourself straight so the energy can circulate through the body. This is necessary, okay?
Jukai has a question.
Please.
When you were describing what to do with the base of the skull, before that you described something with your jaw. Can you say that again?
Yeah. Basically, there are many tension points in the body, okay? And the skull is like a whole area of study that we're going to get to. I mean, the thing that's nice about this format is every week, I'm just going to add another Lego piece to the machine, and we're going to see how cool it is when it get, you know, and we got time. I'm not rushed to do this all in a session body practice class or something. But there are tension points, specifically the temples, behind the eyes, the jaw points along here inside the ears, the lower occiput, and all the way down here and behind the nasals. Up in here, there's a lot of them, but basically you have the general shape of this, okay? You get your structure physically right, and then you scan through, and if you find tension, you always want to bring opening to it, It's always opening. You put your mind in it and you open. And you breathe in and out of that space. It's like you contact it, you open, and you breathe chi in and out of it. And this makes circulation happen, and this relieves pain and structural problems in the body.
Thank you.
Okay? And that's anywhere your body is a body. Okay? I feel like it's kind of like trying to take a drink out of a fire hose here, but okay. Y'all have a good sense of what you're doing next? Yeah, I mean, please, I've got a minute. Dr. Hardy, please. You got a question or an observation or something? Let's have it.
Okay, so first we started by standing, then you had us lay on the floor. And what I noticed when I got on all fours to get up, do you ever do it that way? Because I could feel, I think I could actually feel more doing it that way than trying to press it to the floor.
Try it. Laying down or putting your hand at different points along your spine, that's another technique. You can just do this and just breathe into the points. You can go on all fours and feel it. Those are all expedient means to try to trick you into feeling your spine. Okay?
Okay.
That's not the exercise that you do forever. The exercise you do forever is this. That's what it looks like. To be able to like do the internal stuff that's actually going on, you know, trick you here and tickle you there and try to get you to feel something, right? But that laying on your back is trying to get you to be able to feel the parts of your spine.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yep.
You can also do the same thing leaning against a wall. You can get here and just, I don't have a convenient wall in camera shot, but you can just lean against the wall and put your weight on the lowest part of your back and just breathe into it, and then go up a notch, go up another notch, go up another notch, and go all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. And you're developing the skill to feel your spine, plain and simple. Eventually, you want to be able to do this without the expedient means of touch or pressure, pure mental. Okay, anybody else? Okay, everybody, I think we're doing good. We're only, 6 minutes late, so I don't take that as late because we give 5 minutes for people to join. I did have a number of people say, I'm totally into this and I can't make it tonight, so I'm going to have these recordings available when I can on my YouTube channel or whatever, and so they'll be posted. If you're not on the Temple email list, I think everybody here is on the Temple email list, so you'll get them that way. Is anybody here not on the Temple email list? Okay, Mark, send me a note or something and I'll make sure you get the links, okay? Just send me a Facebook Messenger or a Gmail or something, an email, and I'll make sure you get connected. Okay, everybody. Sister, yes?
I just wanted to mention, I mean, some of that back work or that spine work, we actually work on in Tai Chi, and it took me a couple years to actually feel the spine and work with the spine. But yeah, and that the pull of equal and opposite forces happens as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Tai Chi is a very advanced form of flowing, moving Qigong. You know, if you do like Wu style long form or Yang style short form or whatever, you have a complete kind of a Qigong workout. What we're doing here is way earlier than that. We're going hundreds of years before Tai Chi was even a twinkle in anybody's eye. And you've got just these series of standing postures that Bodhidharma brought, you know. So like part of the Zen tradition has been born from this intelligence. You know, people that study Qigong, Neigong deeply in China go back to Bodhidharma as one of the main guy who brought this into China. And of course in Zen, he's the main, bringer of the Dharma from west to east, right? Why'd Bodhidharma come here anyway, kind of thing. So these are more intimately realized together than most people know. Tai Chi, Bagua, Xingyi, Aikido, Kung Fu, all these different expressions have this similar root that is in the same root of the spiritual tradition of Zazen. You know, Zazen itself is the single posture in the seated form that you can do and spend a lifetime and not exhaust it, obviously, right? So there we are. Fantastic. Okay, everybody, thank you for your practice. Let's dedicate the merit. So let's take all the benefit that has been accrued from our hanging out tonight and working on this stuff, and let's give it to all the people who have gotten into an accident today and will henceforth lose the ability to feel their spine at all. I'm sure today there are people that have woken up into a world where they've had an accident and they're paralyzed, and let's give the benefit of our feeling into our spines to those folks. May their suffering be relieved. May it be so. All right, everybody. Thank you for your practice. See you next week.